please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, so it's time for another lineup projection here, and in the first video I looked at the Pittsburgh Penguins. So keeping it within the same series, now we're going to take a look at the Montreal Canadiens' possible lineup for when hockey returns and they play in their play-in series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Before I fully get into the video, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, as those likes really do go a long way and help out a lot. But let's get into it here. Montreal, really, an interesting team, a 12 seed, a 500 team this year. Really had no shot of making the playoffs under normal circumstances, but now have a chance to win this play-in series against the Penguins and possibly sneak into the 2020 NHL playoffs. So, really interesting lineup to look at. A lot of question marks and a lot of movable parts in this lineup. That's something I don't want anyone to watch this and think that this is a guarantee of what their lineup is going to look like, because there are a lot of interchangeable parts here and pieces that can be moved in and all around. So let's switch over here to Cap Friendly and take a look at Montreal here. So to start, right off the bat, we need to know that Max Domi is a question mark. Max Domi is diabetic, and there is a question as to whether he can safely play given the circumstances of what's going on. And there's question as to whether or not he will be able to or not be in the lineup and participate in this 24-team format. So for the sake of this video, I am saying that Max Domi is able to play, and the Canadiens will have a full, healthy roster come the start of whenever the play-in series is. So for the sake of this, I'm going to have Max Domi here. If Max Domi cannot play, he gets slotted out of that second-line center spot. Nick Suzuki probably slots in, and then they need another winger on the right side. So that would be the quick fix if Max Domi cannot play. But for the sake of this video, let's say Domi can play. So which of these two is your top center? That's really, a toss-up. You could say Domi's the top guy. You could say Danault is the top guy. They're flippable. They're interchangeable. Now, I think Gallagher will probably play with Danault and Thomas Tatar. Though Tatar actually had a really good season. Gallagher had a very good season this year, despite the team as a whole not being great. And then that would mean that Drouin, and I would put Suzuki on the right side. I would not waste Nick Suzuki as a bottom six center. I would not put him in a bottom six role. He's one of their best players offensively. He's too talented to be sitting down here in the third line center spot. So I would put Nick Suzuki on Domi's right side or Danault's right side. Really doesn't matter. You could easily flip these two and put Suzuki with Danault and put Gallagher with Domi. You could flip them. Same thing on this side. You could flip Drouin with Danault, or you could put Tatar with Domi, or you could go back and put Tatar with Danault and put Drouin with Domi. There's lots of interchangeable parts here. You can just flip-flop these guys. Sorry about that quick little technical glitch there, but as I was saying, the top six forwards are very interchangeable as far as who you put with who, and those six guys can really kind of be flip-flopped all around into, whatever line combination you want. Moving on to the depth forwards, I think Jesperi Kotkaniemi is going to get a legitimate shot at this third-line center spot again. I know he got sent down earlier in the year and was playing down in the AHL, but he actually played pretty well down in the A, and I think with them coming back, and this team does not have a lot down the middle, I think he's going to get a legitimate shot at that third-line center spot again. Possible wingers, Armia for sure. Maybe Jordan Wheel comes up and plays on the third-line right wing, but I think Armia is most likely to be there. Paul Byron on the left side. It could be Lehkonen, depending on what direction they want to go. Maybe they put Lehkonen on the third line and drop Byron down to the fourth. Again, a lot of moving parts here with the Canadiens. They are not a team that has a very, set, stringent lineup of this line, this line, this line, and this line. There's a lot of mixing and matching going on here, and there really has been all season with this team. But for the sake of this, let's say Byron, Kotkaniemi, and Armia make up your third line. If Kotkaniemi can't make the lineup, does Wheel come up and play third line? Then who's your fourth line center? Jake Evans, Teasdale, right? Maybe Ryan Poehling gets a chance. Maybe he gets another shot. You could definitely possibly do that. And then maybe you put Wheel up there and you put Poehling as your fourth line center. I mean, maybe you put Poehling as your third line center and give Wheel the fourth line slot. I don't know. There's so much interchanging that you can do here. It's going to depend on how these guys play. It's straight up going to depend on how these guys play. For right now, I'll say Kotkaniemi takes that third line job back, which I think the Canadiens in a best case scenario would want him to do. And then Wheel's your fourth line center. Byron and Lehkonen, very interchangeable there on the third and fourth line. Hudon, I think, is an extra. He'll probably be a scratch. And then on the right side this is playoff hockey for the purposes of grit and just having a veteran guy there. I've got Dale Weiss as your fourth line right wing right now. Someone else could definitely, Jake Evans, if you want to go in a younger direction. Maybe Jake Evans plays on that fourth line wing. Again, there are options there, but I'm going to say that Weiss probably goes there because he's been around the league a long time. He's got playoff experience, and he brings that grit and that sandpaper style of game that you need in the playoffs. And overall, this lineup is not a very tough lineup. This isn't a team that I look at and think, wow, look at the toughness, look at the physicality. I think Weiss would be a good guy to have on that fourth line to play that kind of role because there really aren't a lot of other guys here that are going to do that. So I would have him as your fourth line right wing, at least to start. Then we move on to defense and goaltending. Obviously, Carey Price is your starter. Charlie Lindgren had been the backup. I think you bring up Caden Primo as your number 3. Maybe instead of Lindgren, they go with Kincaid, although I don't know. The backup goaltender situation in Montreal is not a good one. Let's say that. They need Carey Price. If they are going to go anywhere, it's going to be on the back of Carey Price. So he's your starter. I definitely think you want Caden Primo there. He's a good young goaltender. I think out of anyone else in goal other than Price that Montreal has, I think Caden Primo is the brightest spot there. Lindgren can be okay. Kincaid, been around, but not really shown a whole lot. I'd almost keep him out of this. I think you want, whoever your backup's going to be, whether it's Lindgren or Kincaid, and then you want Primo there as the third guy, and he may end up even being the backup. But obviously, Carey Price is the most important part here. This team is not going anywhere without Carey Price. And then defense, this is interesting because obviously you have Shea Weber, who is their number 1 defenseman, their best defenseman by far. No one else is even close. But then other than that, it's up for grabs. Really, behind Shea Weber, it is up for grabs as far as putting a defense core together. I have Victor Mete playing with Weber. I think that's, you have a young guy next to the veteran guy. And Mete, of all the young defensemen in Montreal, I think is, one of the brighter spots as far as that goes. You could put Sherratt next to Weber. That would be a shutdown defensive pair, and I think you might see that if, they're trying to hold the lead in the third period. I think you could see Sherratt playing with Weber as a shutdown pair. But for the sake of balance here, I'm going to say you put Mete with Weber. You put Sherratt down on the second pair with Jeff Petrie, who, listen, Jeff Petrie can put up points. He's an offensive defenseman, but he is bad in his own end. Sherratt, not really a point producer, but more of a defensive stay-at-home D-man. Maybe you put him with Petrie to kind of balance out that offense versus defense. And then the third pair, I mean, they got so many options with what they can do with the third pair. Noah Juleson is a question mark as far as his health goes. If Juleson is healthy and can play, I think you might see him get into the lineup. Kulak is a guy who's been around. They have Alsner, who's only played 4 games this year. Obviously had been sent to the minors and waived. I don't know how much of Alsner you'll see or not see. If you want to go with someone like that, you could possibly put him on the third pair. I wouldn't. I mean, the last 2 years for Carl Alsner have been absolutely horrible. They've got Xavier Ouellet, who, you know, kind of been around at this point as a depth D-man. Cale Fleury, real young guy. I think you could potentially see him get a shot in this. If they want to go in a young direction, maybe you do put Fleury up there. I don't know if they're going to do that, particularly to start. I think with it being playoff-style hockey, I think you're going to see some more veteran guys. Christian Folan's an option. He's been around for a little while now. Could put him on that bottom pair. There's just so much that you could do with that bottom pair. I think top 4-wise, it's probably going to be Weber, Mete, Sherratt, and Petrie. I think that's your top 4. Beyond that, you've got 6 depth guys here and 2 spots to fill. So it's really up to the coaching staff on what they want to do there as far as the third pair goes. But they've got options, that's for sure. So overall, this is a lineup that honestly, for even someone who watches a lot of hockey like me and, you know, follows the league extremely closely, is pretty tough to put together. I think the big thing with this lineup is just the sheer number of movable parts, where, you know, this team doesn't really have set lines. This team, you can move guys up and down the lineup, particularly on the wings and on that defense, not so much. The wings, you can move guys up and down this lineup. I mean, you could put Tatar with Danault. You could put... That's not what I meant to do. You can put Tatar with Danault. You can put Tatar with Domi. You could put Drouin with Danault. You could put Drouin with Domi. I mean, that's interchangeable. Same thing with Gallagher and Suzuki on the other side. Interchangeable. Third line center is a huge question mark. Who the hell is going to play there? I'm putting Kotkaniemi there for now. We'll have to wait and see. And, you know, just the up and down this lineup, there's lots of question marks of who is going to play where. The defense, like I said, I think your top 4 is going to be these 4 guys. I think it's going to be Weber, Mete, Sherratt, and Petrie as your top 4, and then the third pair is completely up for grabs. And obviously, Carey Price is your starting goaltender, and the one that, if you are going to do anything, even win a game in this 24-team format, you're going to need Carey Price to be a superstar goalie. So, overall, this is an interesting team to look at. I think they've got a lot of options. You know, we'll see what kind of lineup the coaching staff decides to put together. But if I were the coach and if I were putting this lineup together, it would look something like what I just had on that screen for you. Again, a lot of moving parts here. And this is just a far out projection. Again, training camp isn't going to start for at least another month or so. So it's a pretty far out projection, but we'll see what it looks like come actual game time in probably beginning of August, when this whole thing is going to hopefully start. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.